Have you ever thought about the people inside Scottish prisons? Most people don't ever consider who is in prison unless they work in prisons, have a loved one imprisoned, or have experienced incarceration themselves. Let's take a couple of minutes today to think about people in Scottish prisons. We can think about who is in prison in a couple of different ways. Most prison services divide the numbers of people in prisons into groups commonly referred to as populations. In Scotland, these populations align to the gender and age of the prisoners, the type of custody, and people who are on home detention curfew. The Scottish Prison Service, or SPS, publishes information about their population numbers online, and today we're going to take a look at their published data from the week of August 4th, 2023, and focus mostly on the categories of age and gender. Keep in mind that this recording was made in August 2023. I'll let you know later in the video where you can access the most up-to-date figures from the SPS. The total prison population for Scotland is listed as 7,825 individuals for this week. This number does not include people on home detention curfew, which was 64 people at that time. Out of the 7,825 people in custody, the majority of them, 5,618, or around 72%, have received and are serving a sentence. 267 people were convicted but awaiting a sentence from the courts. However, 1,940 people, around 25%, were untried, meaning they had not yet received a sentence. This is also referred to as being on remand. Not everyone will receive a sentence at their trial, but everyone on remand will experience the pains of being imprisoned. Scotland has maintained high numbers of people on remand. Scottish Legal News reported in 2022 that the remand rate has almost doubled in Scottish prisons since 2020. When we think about who's in prison, according to gender, the numbers for the week of August 4th, 2023, show that the majority of the prison population, 7,501 individuals, were men, and 324 were women, around 4%. In terms of young people, the prison population numbers for the same week show that there were 5 young people aged 16 to 21 in custody and 168 young people ages 18 to 20, around 2%. The prison population numbers for August 4th, 2023 give us a snapshot of people in Scottish custody that week, but they don't tell us everything. It's not made clear in these figures where the young women are counted. Are they counted in the category of young people or in the adult population of women? We also don't know the number of trans people in custody from this data, although we know from a report published by the Scottish Prison Service that there were 11 trans women and 5 trans men in custody from April to June 2022. You can take a look at these numbers yourself. Just Google SPS prison population and you can access an Excel file provided by the SPS. The Scottish Prison Service updates the population numbers weekly. Remember, it's always best to try and use the most up-to-date figures when discussing research. Take a look yourself and consider what questions you have about the data presented. While the prison population numbers give us an idea of the numbers of people in custody according to gender and age, it doesn't tell us about the people themselves. It's easy to forget that when we talk about people in custody, that we are talking about people with families and communities outside the prison walls. When we think about people in prison, it's important to remember that people outside the prison are impacted by their loved ones' imprisonment. An organization called Families Outside found that more children in Scotland experience a parent in prison than they do parental divorce. You can find out more about people in prison in the SCCJR's resource, Who's in Prison? A snapshot of Scotland's prison population.